Well, I do think we've often over focused on difference rather than on things like inclusive behaviors. I think we have focused, I think too much of the time on these initiatives has been spent in what I would call a kind of hunt for unconscious bias. And that's one of the reasons that a lot of these initiatives have not, as they say, moved the needle to the extent that was anticipated, and that shifting more to a tactical how to model on inclusive behaviors and identifying and addressing triggers would be extremely helpful. But I also feel that one of the reasons you get pushback here is that we haven't really distinguished diversity and inclusion. You know, when I wrote about inclusion and building inclusive cultures back in 1995, it was not linked to diversity. I think the link is very positive, very strong, and it makes sense because people who are outside the mainstream leadership culture are more likely to feel and to be excluded. So it makes sense to speak about them together. But we speak so automatically about D&I or DEI as we do now, that we forget that they're very different concepts. And I hear leaders who will say, you know, diversity is our goal. No, it's not your goal. It's the reality of the talent pool. Inclusion is the way in which you create a culture that is most likely to use diverse talent in an optimal way. So these are very different things. And I think the more we would articulate that and the more we would talk about diversity is the reality of the talent pool globally. This is what every organization is dealing with, whether it's a global energy supplier or a strip mall retailer. They're dealing with a diverse workforce. So how do we address that? How do we make the most of it? How do we turn it into a benefit? And if we could articulate it in that way, rather than making it a sort of good to do thing, by confusing diversity and inclusion, I think that there'd be more support.
There's more opportunity there. I think I totally agree with you. I've been saying for years that diversity is a categorization and counting exercise. Inclusion is, my words, the behaviors we exhibit to get the best ideas out of a broad range of that pool. And I think you're right, Sally, in the book, and that we have got to get focused on the behaviors. The behaviors that are going to make for a better workplace all around. I would also argue that the things you say in your book are just flat out good management practice. The secret is to make sure you're using those good practices for everyone on the team, not just for ones that are easy to use it for, shall we say, however that is defined for you.